What if I told you that you could get the guy you want, not just the ones chasing you, by making a few smart, subtle shifts in how you show up? I'm talking clear, step by step instructions from how long to wait before replying to a text to exactly when to initiate intimacy and how Cleopatra used feminine power to become unforgettable. And this works, so use it with caution because once you do this right, he will chase you. He will prioritize you and he will see you as someone he wants to claim. I'm Jaslin, host of The Goddess Energy, and someone who spent years decoding how smart, successful women can stop overgiving in love and start getting exactly what they want without losing their power, their standards, and their softness. And if you're new here, welcome. This is a space for ambitious women who are done shrinking and done settling in life, in work, and especially in love. So grab your tea, open your notes, because by the end of this video, you will have a clear, practical playbook to get the man you want and keep his attention, effort, and respect. Let's dive in. So, the first step is to attract high value men by being seen strategically. So, you want to be visible to men who want a relationship, not just attention. How can you do this? First is by joining a curated dating app. Second is attending at least 2 offline events where you believe your potential partner could turn up. So these could be business events, network events, or fun events. So whatever you think you and your partner should be doing in the future. And then whenever you see a guy whom you find attractive in such places, you do want to hold the eye contact, but just for a second or two and then look away. So then you show them that you are accessible, but not fully available. If you have a dating app, there are a couple of things you should keep in mind when you create a profile. One is you do want to call out your green flag right away. And I would suggest having a picture which repels the wrong kind of guy. So if you're someone who wants somebody to support you in your career, then it's good to have some picture of yours working or doing something like that as well. Have a fun picture, have something that shows off your eyes and your face very clearly. Whatever other picture you have, preferably keep it alone. And I would also recommend have a candid or a playful picture. Avoid pictures showing too much skin or say a bikini just because you don't want to come across as too available. Remember, we are not looking for men we want to sleep with. We are looking for men for long-term commitment. So avoid anything that gives a I don't take dating seriously vibe. You want to give the vibe of a high value woman who is looking for a high value man. So the second step is building attraction without chasing. How do you do that? So you want to invite pursuit with warmth, not with effort. For example, if you are in an event and you see someone who you think could be a potential partner, you want to have eye contact, hold for 2 to 3 seconds, and then move your eyes away. You can give a soft smile, but not something very, very evident. You want to give an open posture. So, say your drink is here and the guy is aligned this way. You want to give a little bit of an open posture so that body language wise, you do show that you're open to somebody coming in and talking to you. And if and when you talk, you want to make sure that you have very less movement, because the less amount of movement you have, the more calm and confident you come across. And you also want to speak with a controlled pace, because when you speak in a paced manner, you come across more confident, your energy is more calm. If someone has reached out to you via text, again, you want to keep it very light and warm. So you can flirt, but do make sure that you don't go dirty before you meet somebody. You want to make sure that you still have your boundaries. So if somebody reaches out via a dating app, do not engage in too long texts. Keep it warm and friendly and initiate a meet. Don't get into deep conversations about the kind of guy you want or any of that before you meet somebody. We want to look for someone who wants to put in effort to be with you. So initiate a meet as soon as possible if you have connected via an app. If you are meeting somebody in real life and this person has not initiated and you want to initiate it, on the screen you will see some scripts that you can use to initiate a conversation with somebody. So once you initiate, you want to make sure you exit after 30 seconds and let the guy come to you for the next steps. We want to spark intrigue. We want to spark curiosity. We want the guy to feel that I want to talk to this person. The third is texting strategy. If you want to attract a high value man, you have to be very careful in how you come across. You don't want to come across as someone who is always available for him. You have to be selective, confident, and time bound. So, for example, if he messages you, please do not reply to him before 20 minutes. So, if he initiated, of course, you can have a conversation. At that point, you can reply. But the first message, do not reply before 20 minutes. Depending on the time of the day, pace out the response timing. So if it's the morning, you can probably give it 20 to 30 minutes and reply and then have a brief conversation. If it is afternoon when you're working, give it 2 to 3 hours, because again, you are a high value woman who prioritizes her work, and you want a man who prioritizes your work. So you do not want to come across as a woman who's going to drop her work and start prioritizing him, because that's not what you're looking for long term. So give it 2 to 3 hours before you reply during the day. And if it is after 9:30, 10 and he is trying to get flirty, I would say avoid it initially. Reply to him in the morning, because again, we don't want to be a girl who he wants to sleep with. We want to be somebody who he wants to commit to the long term. Now, even if you have a conversation, we want to keep it very brief. We do not want to have long conversations, and you should be only having around 3 to 5 exchanges a day. We're talking about right either after meeting up or right after connecting. So we want to make sure that it's very brief. The second thing is, you should always be the one ending the conversation or ending maximum conversation. So if you have 3 conversations, make sure you are the one who has to step away for 2 out of 3 conversations. I would avoid emojis as well in the beginning, unless he is using them. Certain tips and scripts for online contact before your first date are on the screen. I would recommend taking a screenshot and keeping it handy for you. Now, one of the things sometimes men do is they might want to initiate a call. You can have a call before you have a first date, but we want to make sure it's a very brief call. We don't want to go too deep. Can have like briefly mention that I'm looking for a long-term commitment or something like that, but we don't want to go deep over a phone call. We want them to put in the effort of taking you out for a first date to get to know those things. Now, in the first date, first, what do you come wearing? You should be wearing something feminine. So basically, anything that shows off your femininity is great, but you don't want to show off too much skin. So probably avoid a mini or a micro skirt. Don't show off too much cleavage as well. We want to come across very, very classy. So imagine you were a royal princess going for a date. What would you wear? Wear something like that. So once you arrive, in terms of topics of conversation, we want to keep it very light. We don't want to talk anything heavy in the first date. No talk about exes, nothing related to therapy, family drama, nothing. Everything very light. You can talk about interesting things which trigger emotions, like what is the thing that brought you joy in the recent past and things like that. But like I said, it needs to be light and deep and warm. For the first date, I would not recommend a pickup or a drop off. You meet at the venue. Another tip is that you want to reach 2 to 3 minutes after the guy has arrived. So he waits, but not for too long that he gets tired. So 3 minutes is a really good time for him to be waiting and be excited for you, and you turn up in around 3 minutes. In terms of time limit, 1 hour to 1.5 hours is what the time limit should be for your first date. That way, it's very easy for you to keep it warm, and it gives you the chance to build that attraction while making sure the chase is still very, very alive in him, because you leave between 1 to 1.5 hours. On the screen, you will see some tips and scripts for the first date. Please take a screenshot of it and keep it handy. So when you're out on your first date, you keep referring to it to make sure you don't make mistakes. One point about leaving, we always want to leave when the date is at high energy. So when you feel the connection is really great and he's really into you, and it's around 1 hour, 1 hour, 15 minutes, leave, because that is when he wishes for the next date and he would be keen to meet you the next time. After the first date, you start having conversations regularly. Even in these conversations, before the second and multiple dates, you want to make sure that you have boundaries. So completely avoid any sort of dirty or sexual talks. You still want to follow the texting rules that were shown up before. So take around 20 to 30 minutes to reply. Don't chat with him late night. When you're busy, say you're busy. You don't want to be prioritizing him if you're out with your friends or if you're out at work, because that is not what you're looking for in a partner. In a long-term partner, you want him to give you your space when you're out at work or when you're out with friends. So make sure that you insert that micro boundary while you are in that texting phase as well. Micro boundaries create desire. They show that you are not easily available, and this subtly tests whether he respects your pace. And for a high value man, this makes you really, truly desirable. The next thing I want to get into is intimacy. Do not sleep with him early. You should be waiting at least a couple of weeks, at least a month, month and a half to initiate any sort of intimacy. The reason you want to delay intimacy is because it builds desire, attachment, and clarity. So you have a lot of time to connect with each other in non physical ways. Because unfortunately, the way men are wired, most men are wired, is that sleeping with him too early can shift you from a potential partner to a short term excitement. So that is why we want to delay it a bit. And it also makes it very clear to you if he's in it for the long term and if he's willing to put in that effort and stay for you. I typically recommend at least 4 to 5 dates before initiating any sort of intimacy, or ideally at least two non physical intimacy experiences of going very deep, some vulnerable conversation, and knowing if he's really worthy of you. So, understanding how he's with you day to day, is he supportive, and things like that. So, you need to see if this guy is truly worthy of you, and only then engage in any sort of physical activity. On the screen, you will see some tips and tricks related to intimacy. One last thing I want to say, something that Cleopatra did. Yes, that Cleopatra. Cleopatra was probably one of the most known seductress in the world, and she could seduce the most powerful men in the world to want her and want her in the long term. The way she did that is she seduced with her presence, her voice, her ability to make a man feel like the center of the universe without ever being conquered by him. One of the things that she understood, which a lot of women today forget, is that men don't fall for the most available women. They fall for the women who makes them the happiest, the most alive and elevated. So when you give a man your time, your attention and energy before he's earned it, you rob yourself of the seduction phase. It's not about being easy, it's about being unforgettable. So slow it down. Be the dopamine hit he can't wait to return to. Don't rush what builds magnetism over time. And if he pressures or pouts, he's not your guy. Most people value what they earn, not what they're instantly given. So now you are in a good space with him. You guys are dating and it's all great. But even at this instance, you want to make sure that you do stay to some extent mysterious while escalating connection. So you want to increase your emotional depth while keeping energetic space. Some tips and tricks are available on the screen. Let him earn your time. Always. And now you guys have been dating for some time. You want to move to the next step of commitment. Now, when to commit and when to walk away. Couple of things on the screen that you see are things that you need to look for, like he needs to be consistent for at least 4+ weeks. He should be initiating 80% of the contact. He should be respecting your time, space, and boundaries. He should be checking in emotionally, not just logistically. And you should be feeling calm around him, not anxious. And there are some red flags that I'm pointing out on the screen. If he ghosts you, if he tries to just Netflix and chill early on, or if he's just using charm to bypass effort. And of course, the biggest one, you don't know where you stand. So you want to look out for those red flags. And if those exist, those are not the kind of men you want to commit. When you're deciding whether to go all in for a man, there are two questions you can ask yourself. One is he pursuing you because you're just low effort or because he feels like a better man around? And that will give you the answer of how your relationship is going to be. If the answer to any of these is no and you realize that you want to move on, we want to exit with grace, not by begging. There needs to be no drama. So I have put out some scripts on the screen to exit the relationship. We want it to be calm and minimal. And once you've done that, I would recommend blocking and moving on. Do not leave it open because it would result in drama and follow ups, which is not what we want to engage in. We do not want to compromise our standards for a guy. We want a guy who can live up to our standards. And most men, especially the good ones, want to be with women who elevate them, not with words or advice, but by simply being someone who inspires more discipline, more intention, more presence. A high value man doesn't just want chemistry, he wants a woman who makes him proud of who he is around her. You don't have to coach him, you don't have to fix him. You just have to be the kind of woman whose standard makes him rise. So now you have the exact roadmap: exposure, texting, dating, timing, pacing, boundaries, and intimacy. This is not about games. It's about creating attraction through structure while still leading with warmth, clarity, and class. Follow this exactly, and the right man will pursue, invest, and choose you fully. Because you didn't chase, you invited. Drop ready in the comments if you're done settling and ready to date smart. And if you haven't already, hit on that subscribe button because the goddess energy is just getting started.